All right. Welcome back to Alternative Discussion West. This is your host, Ryan Banks, and we are here for episode 7. Lucky number 7 brings today our guest, Mr. Shane Hendry. What's going on, Shane?
What's up?
Longtime friend here. Good to have Shane in the studio. You may know him from Bay Area band Reunions and a plethora of other bands from Southern California that we are going to talk about here shortly. Welcome to the studio, Shane. What's up, man?
Dude, I'm chilling. I'm enjoying some kittens.
Yeah, we got kittens in the garage.
Wonderful
Can't beat that.
weather, dude.
That's it, man. It's good weather.
Yeah.
It's an undisclosed location, man. Okay. Anyways,
That's
hey.
the code name.
That's it, dude. So you grew up, we were just talking about, in El Centro. You're born and raised there.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful, beautiful El Centro, California.
It's in a small town, about 30,000 people.
Dude, so small. Yeah, it's in the middle of the desert.
It's about 100 miles inland from San Diego.
Yeah, basically the far southeast tip of California. If you're heading east, right before you hit Arizona, this is like the last little patch of life.
What towns does it border in Arizona? Or is it just a ghost town?
Yuma is like the next town across the border in Arizona.
How far is that out?
It's a half-hour drive or something, you know. Yeah.
So inside of El Centro, you got a Walmart there?
Oh, my goodness, yes. There's multiple Walmarts.
30,000 people, 4 Walmarts.
Oh, yeah.
And a super.
Yeah.
So what is life like growing up inside of El Centro?
Oh, man, it's a cultural wasteland. I mean, I went to a weird elementary school. I went to the same school from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. So like I had like my one group of friends that I met when I was 5 years old,
and stuck with
and that was 15. It until I was like 13.
How many people are at a school like that in El Centro? Hundreds or?
So like for instance, my like 8th grade graduating class, it was like 25 people. You know what I mean?
Oh, they graduated the 8th grade together.
Yeah,
so you knew
50.
everyone, and you knew them well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I still run into them still to this day sometimes, and I'll be like, oh my, and we could talk to each other as if we've known each other.
And they're still out there in El Centro. Some of them.
Some of them are here. I run into people on the train here sometimes. It's
wow.
crazy. Yeah.
All the way from El Centro.
Yeah.
So the people that are there, would you say, are they stuck there? Are they hiding out there? I mean, it seems like kind of a runaway town.
Yeah. There's a good diversity of people who was like, you know, I went to a school where we were kind of mocked and as like, this is where the rich kids went. But in reality, it was like, well, some of the rich people lived out in the boonies because they wanted to buy a big house there. So they lived close to this school, and other people just lived in these shitty little houses, and that was the district they were in. They happened to be in the school. So I grew up with some kids that are now, you know, they're getting PhDs and stuff like that, and they're doing really well.
What landed your folks out there? Did they grow up out there?
Their parents.
Okay, so it's just hometown.
There. Yeah, exactly.
It's just generations of El Centro.
Exactly.
And
funny thing about El Centro, Tim Armstrong of Rancid, I believe his grandfather was a farmer in El Centro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So Tim Armstrong.
We're a couple degrees of separation removed.
Spent many summers out there plowing his grandfather's fields, possibly, in El Centro. Yeah. That could be. So you grow up, you say you go to 8th grade, or from kindergarten to 8th grade, all in the same school, and then you start high school in 2002?
2002, yeah.
You start high school, and that's going to, what's the name of the high school you're at?
Southwest High School, man.
And that's home of the Eagles.
Home of the Eagles,
right?
dude.
Yeah. Southwest High School.
Yeah, man.
El Centro, now, is that a bigger school? Is that, you know, shocking a lot of people, or is it the same thing, kind of small?
For a kid that went to the same school, like had only been to one school in his entire life, had only had, you know, his group of 5-6 friends and never really interacted with anyone else. Yeah, it was crazy coming in and being in a slightly bigger pond or whatever, you know.
And a few new hundred people.
You know. I'm like, oh my god, like there are like real punk rockers here. Oh my god.
You're blown away. 2002.
Yeah.
Entering Southwest High School inside of El Centro.
Yeah.
So around that time, is that when you get your first drum set? And how does that come to be?
I had already been playing drums by then.
Okay.
So yeah, it was probably about 7th or 8th grade that I convinced my mom to allow me to buy a drum set. I wanted a drum set, and she's like,
if you can pay for it.
this is a funny story. She's like, I'll strike a deal with you. She thought she was going to convince me to play guitar. She's like, no, drummer is this. No reason for you to play drums. If
Nobody
you
wants
play
to hear
guitar,
that racket,
no one wants
right?
to hear that. But if you can learn to play guitar, so she struck a deal with me. If you learn to play guitar, then I will let you buy a drum set. Thinking that by the time I learned to play guitar, that I would have given up on that. So I learned a couple
Mary had a little lamb.
A couple songs, and I was,
basket case.
Yeah, a couple months later, I was like, look, I can play guitar. And she's like, okay, do you still want a drum set? I'm like, yeah, totally. And she's like, okay, go mow lawns all summer until you can afford one.
And so you bought it yourself.
That's what I did, yeah.
In the 130-degree summer,
yeah,
out in El Centro mowing lawns to get your first drum set. So you get that before you enter high school.
Yeah, so I was playing all 8th grade probably.
And are you just playing along to songs on your headphones, or do you start jamming with people right away?
Oh, man. I did immediately start jamming with a couple of my friends in elementary school.
With absolutely no history or talent playing.
Yeah, with 3 days experience under my belt. Going
a few hours in your parents' garage.
Going and jamming with a couple good friends, and it was pretty funny. Like, one of the kids that played guitar, he was already pretty experienced playing drums, so we'd practice in his travel trailer, and he would just be so mad at me. Like, he's like, dude, play this, and I'm like, I'm trying my best, but I don't know.
And then he would sit down and do that.
And he would
this
say,
is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah. And play it, and I'd be like, all right. So, and that was just a complete failure. But
and those were friends of yours from school, or did you have to post an ad in the hallway?
No, those were
looking for a band.
Yeah, those were at the time my 3 or 4 best friends,
And everybody was interested in playing music.
Yeah, we all had just got guitars or whatever,
Yeah, so everyone's rehearsing. Everybody's trying to find their way in music and write some songs or whatever it is. So you go to Southwest for how many years? Do you graduate there?
No, my senior year, I switched to the other high school in town.
Is this the one on the wrong side of the tracks, or is
oh
this...
yeah?
Really?
I went from the good high school,
from Sweet Valley High to
the rough one,
the Outsiders High School,
to boost my cred.
That was by choice, or did you get kicked out?
It was by choice. The 2 guys that I played in a band with at the time went to that high school, so
the other school.
Yeah, they were basically 2 of my only friends, or my best friends. So I was like, man, I would really prefer to go to that school. So I pulled some strings. I, made some things happen.
Did what you had to do.
Yeah, did what I had to do
to get to that high school.
Over, yeah.
Now, those guys that you ended up playing with in high school, you guys form a band.
Yeah,
and that's when you started your first band.
Yeah, that was the first probably real band.
And you guys were going under the name Ransom Report.
Yeah.
Now, is there any recordings of that band?
Recordings exist. I don't have any. I really.
And they were originals. You guys wrote songs.
Oh yeah, we wrote a lot of songs. Yeah, we wrote a lot. Yeah.
And there was no writer's block inside that group.
No,
it's just
practicing in the infamous pool house in Tim's pool house. There's some.
And this is actually Tim and Chris.
Yeah, both the guys
that you end up playing later on in San Diego when you move out there.
Yeah,
so interesting. So you guys are playing as Ransom Report. Now, what are you guys playing shows? You guys playing a talent show? Is there a venue? Is there an all ages venue you guys are doing?
Yeah. So after we had enough, a small town like that, the punk scene is tight knit, right? So we could start going to shows and backyards and whatever, and we start meeting all the bands. And the first show we ever played was at, I believe, this place called Studio Z, with the other 3 punk, and we were so stoked. We were like, oh my god, it feels like we're opening up at the Fox Theater or whatever. Exactly. You know what I mean? But yeah, we started
this was a backyard show.
This was in a club. This was in a nightclub that would allow the local punks to rent it out
earlier
in the evening on a Friday or Saturday night or whatever.
And there was a turnout. There was a scene there.
Yeah. So
there's 100 kids.
Probably 100 people there, and then we just started playing really regularly
with these guys all the time.
Whatever
was going on inside of town.
Yeah, and would eventually venture up to San Diego to start playing shows in backyards and in little
with Ransom Report.
With Ransom Report, yeah.
Wow. So you guys got out, and that's in high school.
That's in high school, yeah.
You're playing it. 100 miles from home.
Yeah. When I graduated high school, we had disbanded. Which is I could take credit for that.
Oh, wow. Some big dreams that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah. Thanks to yours truly, the band was no more.
You did have some power in that band, I guess.
Yeah.
So Ransom Report, there was some recordings, but nothing still exists. We can't lead any of our listeners to a Bandcamp page or an old YouTube video, maybe.
You know what's completely funny is I was just like doing a whole bunch of... I was home one night and I was looking on MySpace and Pure Volume, and I was trying to find like all this old stuff, all old bands. And if you go to Pure Volume, oh my goodness, there is some. You type in your hometown zip code and it shows everything's still there. None of the music works, unfortunately, though. Like all the music files don't work. But I probably still have the music somewhere. It's just been a long time since I've heard it. Yeah.
And so Ransom Report ends as you graduate high school.
Yeah, probably my senior year it ends and
slows down. You're gonna hang up the drumsticks at that point.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when you're into punk rock and you're a senior in high school, like, do you think about going to college? No. So like I just had like absolutely my whole plan of like after high school was like, oh, I'm just gonna be a punk. Like I'm just gonna be playing drums all the time.
Yeah.
And then when there was no more band, when there's no more band and like you graduate high school, you're just like, oh my goodness, I have nothing to do now.
So 2006, you graduated high school in El Centro. You never had trouble in school. Got right through it. You weren't a fifth year senior.
No, I was one of those kids who. I'm really good at taking tests and I'm all that stuff. I never paid attention though.
You could perform well.
Yeah, I did everything I needed to do to get my C+ average or whatever and graduate.
So you weren't grounded. Parents were cool.
Exactly.
Everything
so
was
did
good.
exactly enough to my parents wouldn't get pissed.
Yeah, to not get in any trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So you get out of high school, and then is there plans right away to get into college, or do you end up? I mean, what's the plan out of high school?
Yeah, there was no plan.
The band's over.
Yeah, the band's over.
College, there's no future. Nothing's looking so bright.
There's a community college in town, and I'm like, well,
nothing else is going on.
I have nothing. I have nothing to do. I know how to like use Photoshop. Like I've been making all of our, we've been
flyers,
DIY making all of our flyers and shirts and CD artwork and all that stuff. I've been making all that stuff.
And that's been you.
Yeah, in high school I got super into just like,
helping out with other bands also.
Yeah, I was doing stuff for a bunch of local bands. Yeah. So like at the local community college they had like art and graphic design classes and stuff. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just like figure this
flyer
out.
Design. It looks like
a major in t-shirt design.
Yeah, not a bad major. So you end up going to Imperial Valley College.
Yeah.
And that's in El Centro.
It's technically an Imperial. It's kind of the same thing, though.
A lot of the same folks from high school, a lot of familiar faces going there. Mm-hmm. And nobody really has a plan as to what
exactly.
to become.
Everyone there is just kind of...
And you just end up going there for your AA.
Yeah, well, I got there and I started taking these classes, and it's funny, like... the other reason I had no plans was, like, my parents didn't go to college. My parents never... They didn't really, like... tell me, oh, you should go to college. Like
there wasn't a layout.
Yeah,
or, a path. That
no one in my family.
Hey, here's what's next.
Exactly. No one in my family had ever been. So they weren't like pressuring me to go to college at all. So I had this vision that it was like this crazy thing. That's like, oh, really? That only rich, crazy,
brains,
super smart people do, right? So then I start going to Imperial Valley College, and I'm like getting just like straight A. I'm just like
you're doing fine.
These classes, I'm like, whoa, why is this? Is this really what this
stuff
is?
You're interested in a little bit more than high school?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, these teachers are actually cool, and like I can like talk to them like actual human beings and stuff like that. And I'm like, so I'm doing really well, and like the counselor is like, dude, you're doing well enough that we have this program where if you finish, we can automatically enroll you in San Diego State University. There's no
and just push you right.
Yeah,
through.
No application process, no nothing. We have this partnership with them that like it's a transfer program, and it's like you finish here, you finish, and you transfer to San Diego State University. I'm like,
and that's a ticket to San Diego,
and it's a ticket out of town, basically. And that's exactly what it was. And I'm like, sign me up.
And living in El Centro, growing up, I mean, you're in San Diego how often? Once a year, or I mean, you've been
between
there.
1 and 3 times. Yeah, in the summer, and it's. Dude, it was 122 degrees down there last week. Yeah, my dad called me.
Here at 110.
Yeah, my dad called me and he's like, "Dude, how hot is it where you are?" And I'm like, "It's like 80," and I feel like I'm dying. He's like, "It's 122 degrees here right now." So that's another whole thing about that place is it's a ridiculous climate, So
it's just the pits of it.
So just everyone there is miserable.
And so you've seen San Diego, you've seen the ocean, you've got a taste for it, and now you're off. Hey, if you keep up the good work, we can kind of push you right through there.
Exactly.
And you don't have to be rich and famous and everything else to get over there. So you end up closing out at Imperial Valley in what year?
So let's see, I graduated in 2006. I started college in 2006, and then at the end of 2007, I basically finished at IVC in the end of 2007. Beginning of 2008, I moved to San Diego.
And got all the units you needed for the AA.
Got all that,
And accepted the program and kind of pushed right through.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's going to kind of end us getting you into San Diego, where you're going to meet some more folks that are going to end up playing in a lot more bands. We're going to talk about the ska, hardcore, punk legends, Eskera.
Hey.
A little bit about them.
Well done.
And, of course, From Scars, also from San Diego.
Yeah.
Talk about the pirate punks and the La Escalera scene out there and how you guys kind of became part of that. So we will get back with Shane and talk more about his bands in San Diego. We will be right back. All right, what you just heard was Big Business by Shane's band Eskera. Home based out of San Diego?
Yeah.
Right on. So that band started as soon as you got to San Diego, 2008, 2009?
Yeah. I'd say late 2008 or so, or mid 2008.
And where did you meet the guys from Eskera?
So the two other guys in my band from high school, after I just bailed and did my own thing, they started this other band, Modern Aggression, which is so awesome.
Modern Aggression, check them out. Is there music available?
Shout out to Modern Aggression.
There you go.
There probably is somewhere. Yeah, this was in this weird pre-Facebook, pre-YouTube time that, like, I don't know where any of the music that happened then ended up.
Yeah, it just existed.
Yeah, pre-Spotify. Yeah, who knows, dude. So anyway, they were playing all these. They started playing a lot of shows with this band in San Diego called Mala Salud, and Mala Salud, I don't think they were disbanding or something. Oh, I completely forgot about this until now. They got me in touch. Their drummer, Mala Salud's drummer, like something, he just was like not into it anymore. So these guys told the main dude Chucky, like, oh, our old drummer Shane lives in San Diego now. You should hit him up. He'll probably play drums for you. So yeah, how it actually started was me filling in drums for Mala Salud, and it just wasn't working out or something. But me and Damien. Excuse me if I use Damien and Chucky interchangeably. That's like, they were like his one man with two names.
You guys got along really well.
Yeah, we just hit it off. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, dude, I've got an idea for another band. Let's start writing songs for that.
So did you end up playing shows with Mala Salud? Or
I don't think I ever. No,
just a few rehearsals.
Exactly.
And it was kind of on its
yeah
tail end of that band.
Right.
Now that band was known inside of San Diego, inside of the underground punk scene.
Yeah, they had a gnarly, it's like experimental punk ska sound. I don't even crusty kind of thing. So yeah, we never played a show, but then
Chucky, who's from Montesalud.
From Montesalud, from San Diego, he was like, dude, I got an idea for another band. I got another friend, Raymundo, who we've been talking about starting something up. Let's do it. So yeah, we get together and we write some songs.
And that's the formation of Eskera.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's around 2008, 2009. And Eskera takes off right away. I mean, you guys start writing and then get right to playing shows?
Yeah. A hilarious story about the formation of Eskera, too, is I live in this house with two of my best friends and a fourth guy that nobody likes. And my best friend Tony, like, he invites another buddy over, and I'm like, oh, I recognize you. Like, we went to high school together. It's this guy Daniel,
and he's from El Centro.
We went to high school together. And I'm like, oh, I recognize you. You were like one of the only other punk rockers in my high school, but we never really like talked to each other. We had one class together in high school, and no shame, I will admit it, I was like a total asshole in this class to this one teacher. This teacher,
you knew everything.
This teacher was just easy to pick on, so I would pick on him a lot. And so Daniel, as soon as he saw me, this is like our first meeting after high school. Daniel's like, dude, I hate this guy. This guy's just like a stuck up, like, you know,
he's an ass.
He's just an asshole. He's an asshole to the teacher.
So that's his impression of you.
His impression of me is that he hates, he just hates me.
And rightfully so. Or at least his impression
rightfully
is
so.
Correct.
But I introduced him to Chucky, our bass player, and they kind of get along, and I'm like, dude, Daniel, don't you play guitar? You should come jam with us. We want a second guitar player. And so he becomes, the other half of like the dynamic duo of Daniel and Damien. But
wow, so yeah. Daniel, who wasn't really turned on by you in high school, ends up joining the band. 5 years later.
Yeah, and now we're homies
in San Diego.
Yeah,
well,
now we're
exactly.
homies. But
a lot of guys in high school I didn't get along with. I can probably sit down and enjoy a conversation with them.
So we like super quickly wrote a bunch of songs, like, so
it just took off. And you guys are practicing what, once a week, twice a week, more than that?
I honestly don't remember, but it was a lot because we practiced in the shed behind my homie's house, behind one of the Montesalud guys' house. We practiced in the shed behind his house. A shed.
You could practice anytime.
Excuse me, not a shed. The shed?
The shed.
Yeah, so like there were shows at the shed. Or you could text somebody, say, dude, party at the shed. And like everyone knows what the shed is.
And your equipment was set up there. That's where you rehearsed.
It wasn't set up there. But we would practice there. Sure. We would practice there a lot. And
the shed was known inside the punk scene.
Yeah.
There's a new band with some familiar faces coming out. And Eskera, from formation to playing its first show, is just a few months.
We started very, very quickly, yeah.
And that created a following and a buzz inside of San Diego in the underground scene. Yeah. Right away.
Pretty quickly, I would say. Yeah.
And that's kind of got the ska sound,
Yeah, it was a weird time where there was this kind of underground like ska core. There was this thing called ska core at the time.
Like you said, still kind of pre-Facebook.
Exactly, yeah.
Pre-YouTube taking off so much. Not everything was in everyone's face every second.
Right. Yes.
So it existed on its own plane.
Yeah. But there was a bunch of people. It was kind of a.
Other bands you guys are playing with, who's around at that time that listeners might know of? I mean, just to throw out some names, some bands that were playing around.
Probably one of the more popular bands that we played a handful of shows with was called the Apathy Cycle. It was one of the dudes from Introspect.
Okay.
So Introspect, Hellcat band, right? He started this other band that was more of a traditional ska punk band called Apathy Cycle. We were playing a bunch of shows with them. We were playing a bunch of shows with. Who were we playing shows with?
I mean, you guys played shows with you guys played shows with Dead to Me.
We played shows with Dead to Me. We played shows with Cobra Skulls. We played a bunch of shows with Reviver. Every time Reviver came to San Diego, we were the band that was playing right.
So I mean, names that people know.
Yeah,
good shows.
Yeah.
And now the shows when you're playing with Reviver, are those house shows?
They were a lot of ones at the Shea Cafe. Oh my gosh, I just remember the first time that we ever played with Reviver was a backyard. At this place called the Ninja Lair in San Diego.
And these are all just DIY punk spots.
Yeah.
I mean, outdoor, backyard.
Yeah.
Plugging into an extension cord. Nothing fancy.
Yeah. The first time I ever played with I'm watching them. I'm like, oh my God, who is this band with two girls all 4 members of the band had like matching mullets. This was way before they had hit big, right? And I remember just like thinking, oh my god, I don't know who this band is, but they just sound amazing. And
they were tight at that point already.
Yeah.
You could tell.
So we go on after them. Raimundo breaks a string on his guitar, and he's like, I need a backup guitar. Maddie from Reviver says, here, you can borrow my guitar. Raimundo picks a guitar, and 2 songs later, 2 of those strings are broken on his guitar. But, yeah. Anyway.
So good times playing with Reviver.
So, yeah.
Backyard parties. And these parties are packed.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, when you're playing a band like that, even in 2010 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's jumping. So you end up, you're also in San Diego. You're going to San Diego State. I mean, that's kind of where, the community college led you.
Yeah.
You've got potential.
Yeah.
So you get into San Diego State, and what kinds of stuff are you studying?
I mean, I was just full on into graphic design. So yeah,
it's been design since.
Yeah. So I was super stoked and super energized to do graphic design. As soon as Eskera started like taking up more and more of my time, I was paying less and less attention to school. I mean, again,
but you're still going full time.
Still going full time, yeah. But I kind of got into that high school vibe of like, I'm going to do just enough to where I know that I'm going to stay in and get a degree.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. All my energy is focused on this band.
And that happened right away.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, first year at San Diego State, Eskera starts playing a bunch.
Yeah, totally.
And that was your ticket out.
And that was it.
So Eskera ends up playing a ton of shows. You guys end up doing U.S. tour?
Yeah, we first did a West Coast tour with another band that I had just recently joined, this gypsy punk band called Dean and Goonham.
Goonham.
Yeah, this other at the time.
So you were doing double duty on that tour?
I was doing double duty on that tour, man, playing drums for 2 bands.
It's the man that can do it all here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And that's what, a week long or whatever.
It was like 2 weeks or something like that. Okay. Yeah, but it was an awesome kind of. It was like first tour experience. Kind of opens your eyes to what that kind of thing is like.
Yeah, seeing a bunch of cities for the first time.
Yeah.
Crashing on couches.
Yeah, and I think all of the guys in Eskera we were all kind of really surprised at like how people were responding to us. People from all different types of backgrounds and musical interests were
enjoying it.
Yeah, we're really, really into us.
Where was the Bay Area stop on that tour?
Dude, I honestly don't remember, but I remember exactly what both the venues that we played were like, but I have no idea what they were or where they were. One in San Francisco and one in Oakland.
Really?
Yeah,
the one in Oakland. Tell us where they were today.
I have no idea what they were. Yeah, the one in Oakland, I remember it was a warehouse. We played. I was so drunk, and I went upstairs and I peed off of the roof. And as I'm peeing, like over the front door of the venue,
onto people possibly,
potentially, yeah. And I remember I'm peeing.
What do you care?
And I was just like, I'm feeling great, man. I'm in Oakland for the first time ever,
Yeah, I'm rocking the Bay Area underground punk squad.
Yeah, and like a cop, like I just sirens, and a cop comes like, when I
front door
straight at me, and I'm like, oh my god, and I was just like, flip it and zip it and run down. I'm like, the cops are here. I think they saw me peeing off the building.
You're who got the party broken up with the piss.
Maybe. I think
so.
The cops just kept trying.
Is that billed as like a double? Like is it a Dina Goonham
Eskera tour,
and then with locals at each stop, and that goes all the way up north to Seattle, Portland. Yep. Kind of does the works. And
Yeah,
works its way
yeah.
back
We
down.
did like we did the Black Lodge in Seattle, which used to be I don't think it's a thing anymore, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, we did a lot of cool things.
Okay, so that's the first tour with Eskera.
Yeah.
Now, Dina Goonham, does it last much longer than that? Were you on any recordings with them?
No. After that tour, I was like, man, I'm not into this double duty thing. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think I've scouted like another drummer to take my place. Okay. So and then taught him the songs.
Did they find any success after that?
They were kind of on the downside of their.
Or on the back end of the band.
On the back end, yeah. Okay. So they were like the house the band in San Diego that if they were playing a house, it was
happening.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, they were not.
But yeah, it was kind of on the downside of their lifespan.
Okay, so coming out of that, where does that? I mean, Eskera ends up recording a full length album, or is it 2 full lengths, or?
We toured on a full length on that, so we already had a full length recorded,
and that's out on CD.
And then we just CDs.
Okay,
Eskera was the most DIY band ever. We were doing CDRs,
and you're
CDRs with homemade
packaging.
Yeah, in my garage, screen printing all of our own shirts.
The merch is selling though.
Merch is selling, yeah.
I mean, people are hearing about it.
Yeah.
So after that tour, when does the full U.S. tour? I mean, how does that take place? Is that just we got to do it? We got to get in the van? Or is there somebody that suggests it? How does the
I think it
US
was
tour?
kind of slow. I think it was 2 years later that we did with the U.S. tour. So 2 years go by, we record a super ambitious, like 15-song full length, and we're playing in Mexico. We're starting to play in Mexico more, and we're getting really, really popular in Mexico. We're starting to get a little more recognition in like, LA area and stuff like that. And and from other places, and we're like, okay, I think we can maybe do a full U.S. tour, and I think we did that in 2011. I booked it all myself.
Okay, that's 50
hit
shows.
Hit up every single person I know, and I'm like, please, anyone, give me your
It doesn't matter
contacts.
where we'll play.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so and how does that go? I mean, for a band that is unknown outside of San Diego, and early on in the digital wave, where there wasn't Facebook invites at this point.
No, how was I? I think I was calling. I was literally calling people.
Yeah, to get a hold of folks. So how does that tour go?
It went, okay. I mean, there was several dates that they'd call, or we'd get an email or a call or something 2 days before.
Shows
canceled. Yeah,
period.
A bunch. But there was also huge successes. We actually met up with Reviver in New York City and played like this amazing show at ABC No Rio with Reviver.
Wow.
Yeah. Played some amazing shows, and yeah, I don't know. In random places, we would just have these really, really awesome successes. But
so there was enough good coming back from it. You're still feeling positive about the band.
I mean, sort of. Yeah.
Sort of. Okay.
Yeah. we picked up. We went counterclockwise around the United States. So our final run was down the West Coast back home to San Diego, and we pick up a friend in Oakland at our last show or something, I think we picked her up in Olympia, Washington, and so she's driving with us all the way down the coast, and she was just like, what happened to you guys in the last 5 weeks? Like, why? Like, no one is speaking to each other.
Yeah, just no words. In the van together.
No words are being spoken on these 8-hour drives. And she's like, "What happened to you guys?"
And these are the 4 guys that are best of friends.
Exactly.
Playing every party.
Yeah.
The common house party band inside of San Diego.
We just hated each other at the end of those 5 weeks. But, we get back and the dust settles and everything's good.
Sure. Yeah. Overambitious, but got back and things work out. Yeah. So you get back, you've got the 2 full-length albums out, and Eskera's picking up. Now, is this about the time you start From Scars?
It was around this time. So basically the 2 guys that I was in a band with in high school, they, one of them moved to San Diego, and then, a little while later, the other one moved up. We start hanging out. We're like, we're best friends, and they lived, I mean, a 5-minute walk from my house.
The gang from Ransom Report from El Centro.
The Ransom Report, yeah.
So you 3 get back together.
Yeah, basically we're like, dude, you guys want to start writing some songs again? And we're like, yeah, sure. And we write a couple songs, and it just feels supernatural,
And that ends up becoming From Scars,
which
a lot of our listeners are familiar with. And you can find those guys on Bandcamp. You can find Eskera on Bandcamp. Yeah. A lot of free downloads there for everyone to check out.
Oh yeah, totally.
And From Scars puts out an album with La Escalera Records, right?
Yeah.
So it's a CD.
Just a CD,
okay.
Yeah, but when we start playing, we're a little bit more of the pop punk persuasion. I mean, still a little melodic hardcore, a little bit of touch of ska, but we're have some pop punk kind of in there. So we start playing with more of the pop punk bands in San Diego, which is the Beside Myselfs.
Okay, and you meet all those guys then, or you've already known them?
Eskera had probably played some shows here and there, but it's where we start really getting to know the guys. And Beside Myself,
friends with Ziggy and Ricky and Todd,
exactly,
all the gang from out there.
Yeah, so that's when we get in good, and that's when
it's probably a fun time.
At the time, Ziggy,
meeting those guys and playing a lot of shows out in San Diego.
Yeah, super amazing.
And that's playing Tower Bar shows
all the time. Yeah,
that's it. They weren't booked anywhere else.
But yeah, so that leads to the La Escalera Records kind of relationship.
And From Scars put out what? How many records?
We put out 3-ish. Okay. An EP, a longer EP, and then a very short EP.
Okay. Yeah, about enough length for one full length album there.
Yeah,
So From Scars gets you introduced to all those guys.
Yeah,
you're playing now, and this time also you end up having a brush with fame, some might say, and end up joining the Bomb Pops.
Somewhere around here, yeah.
You end up joining, and they're just looking for a drummer at the time?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember how I was introduced to them.
But it's Jen and Polly at the time.
But it's Jen and Polly. They had just parted ways with their drummer and their bass player.
Okay.
And maybe, I think we had played a show with Eskera, or they had played a show with Eskera or something, so maybe
that's
how
we
met. Yeah, but they hit me up and they're like, hey, we're looking for a drummer. Are you interested in practicing? And I was like, absolutely. Or auditioning, and I come and audition, and it felt amazing. You know, we were like, whoa, this. And
this is early on. They have one or two demos out at the time?
Something like that, yeah. I think they had only released one thing. It was a short demo or EP or something like that.
And at that point, they pick up bass player Ryan Donovan.
Ryan, man, yeah, famous. You talk about fame.
That's from
Red City Radio.
Red City Radio. Yeah. So you, Ryan.
Funny thing too. First, like after the audition, the first practice, I show up to practice and I'm wearing all black. I've got and I look at this guy who I'd never met before, Ryan, who was our bass player. And I think I definitely start kind of giggling to myself, and I'm like, dude, we look like the same person. We're dressed like twins, head to toe, dressed like twins, and we're like, dude, is this a coincidence that they've both asked us to join their band?
Well, that's cool that you got to jam with all them,
Yeah.
and they've found success.
Yeah, we did.
Ryan's found success,
Yeah, we did some awesome shows, man. Played some shows with Dead to Me that were really awesome at. Before VLHS, what was the place in Riverside?
The 12th and
G with the mini ramp in the back. We did some awesome shows there.
With Dead to Me.
Yeah, with Dead to Me. I did some cool shows with Bomb Pops. It was short lived, but it was super cool.
Cool. That sounds like a fun time there. So you've played with all those bands inside of San Diego. You're going to San Diego State. Now, do you end up graduating?
I graduated. My last year or so, I cut back to half-time, so I was only taking 2 classes or something for the last couple semesters. I did a summer program in New York where I went to school in New York for a summer. Eskera was just going full time, and then I graduated in 2010 or something like that. I'm kind of going. My timeline is all zigzagging here, but you know what I'm saying.
That's all right. There's a lot here to look at. Mm-hmm. So Eskera and From Scars, they kind of take a back seat as you graduate college, and decide you're going to move towards the Bay Area.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, after I graduate, there's a couple more years in San Diego where it's just I'm working full time, but I'm full on band mode for probably 2 years. But my job is just flat, just stagnant, and I'm kind of okay, I'm not super feeling playing a backyard again this Friday night, You
can't do the yard again.
Yeah, exactly. Loading my drums up again. I'm just, it's just becoming overwhelming, and I'm okay, I'm still working for my, meager paycheck. I feel like I can kind of make a move here.
Well, let's come back to that and talk about the end of your time in San Diego and kind of wrapping up with those bands, and then moving forward with your career that you end up kind of launching at San Diego State. And then we'll talk a little bit about your new band reunions out of the Bay Area, and then what you're doing with work now here in the Bay. We'll be right back with more with Shane. which you just heard was 1987 by From Scars from the classic Spare Change album. I'm sitting here with my guest Shane Hendry. We're kind of talking about San Diego. So you graduate San Diego State 2012. You end up working at the school.
Yeah.
You end up getting a job through the school, which is just a design type job.
Yeah, it was an awesome job. I mean, well, you know, I loved my boss and I loved the environment and I loved
had a
the
good
work
time.
I was doing. Oh yeah.
And at that time, you're creating stuff for on campus. You're designing stuff for the logo for the mascot and the Aztecs, and
yeah, we are. It's kind of a strange thing. Basically, our job was to do any type of design that was needed for the on-campus experience, right? So maps. We were designing all the maps. If you got off your car, got out of your car, and walked up, you hit a map. We designed that experience there.
You guys did that.
Same thing with all of the athletics facilities, you know, so...
From the locker room to the
locker
stadium.
rooms, yeah. Floor on the basketball court.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big was that team? Was that just a couple people doing all that?
For many years, it was me. It was one other kind of more production-focused person and my boss, Jeremy. After a couple of years, that one production person left and was replaced with another guy, and then it was kind of us three it was mostly three people, you know. Yeah.
So you end up working there doing that for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
Playing with Eskera, From Scars, a couple other local bands in the San Diego area, and into 2013, you kind of decide you're gonna make a move.
Yeah, I'd kind of been like thinking, I was like, man, I'd been to San Francisco like a handful of times, or you know, the Bay Area a handful of times the last couple of years. I really like it. You know, I've been meeting more people. I've been meeting you guys. You know, so I was like, man, you know, there's this huge design thing just exploding there. There's all these jobs, right?
Yeah, just tons of jobs in the field.
Yeah, just keeping my eye out on all the job posting sites and stuff, and you know, a couple things popped up that were a good fit for me, and yeah, landed a job up here.
Okay, so you apply to the job while you're still in San Diego,
Yeah.
living in San Diego, land a new job, and so Eskera and From Scars. There's never been a last show. I mean, the band still exists in some form.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But you are 8 hours
There
away.
may be even some unreleased songs out there that might get
Wow,
finished.
possible 7-inch coming
Teaser.
soon. If anyone's listening, this could be your chance to get in on the gold. So 2014, you moved to the Bay Area and relocate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you end up you land a job with another a studio.
Yeah, it's an architecture firm, actually.
Okay, and they were based out of Palo Alto when you moved here.
Right. Their office, they had one office here that was in Palo Alto, but I moved to San Francisco, and I was commuting to Palo Alto every day.
And that's just a nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
2 hours each way.
Yeah. But pretty shortly after I moved here, they were like, they announced, oh, we're going to open another office in San Francisco. So
okay, so
not
for
much
the
longer.
listener that doesn't really know what you mean by doing design work, what's a day-to-day? What kind of jobs are you taking on?
The bread and butter of our California offices are designing workspaces for corporations here, you know, and by corporations, it's typically tech companies, right? So
you're revamping offices, you're making them user-friendly, fun, you know, enjoyable, exciting to be at.
Exactly. So you know, we'll get hired by X company. The architects will design this whole office space, and I will be like the support person saying, okay, when a guest arrives in the lobby, what do they see? What is that like?
Yeah, what kind of aesthetics are on the wall?
What's on the walls? Yeah, and then in the office spaces, you know, what can we do in this office space to kind of make the day-to-day life of the employee better, right?
From creating desks and different, you know.
Yeah, it could be that. It's not often that, but occasionally it is. But it's, you know, a lot of custom artwork on walls, you know, sculptural things here and there. You know, there's also, you know, this thing called wayfinding, right? If you're hanging out in this office, how do you know how to get to the bathroom? You know, I got to figure that out. I got to make that experience easier for someone. Things like that. You know.
Just making the day-to-day life easier for the tech workers and for everybody that's inside of these businesses. Okay, so I mean, it's an enjoyable job, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, it sounds, you know, intriguing
and,
and should be some excitement to that. So you get out here, 2014, you're in San Francisco. Now, do you start playing music right away out here with folks?
No, not at all.
Take a year or so off.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like just burned out on music when I moved up here. I was like not.
It didn't lead you down the golden road you may have thought, or had you'd played enough?
Yeah, I mean, I was in San Diego. I was doing 3-4 shows a month.
And 3-4 practices.
Yeah, which when you're trying to chill, you live your life, it's like spending every Friday and Saturday
at a show.
Working more is like not,
Yeah, getting home at 4 a.m.
Exactly. Is not the best life. But yeah, so I moved up here and I was like, man, I'm just going to take a break. But after a year or so, I was like, all right, I need something,
And that's about the time you end up starting to jam with Eric?
Yeah, Eric and Nate, yeah.
Okay, so and how do you find those guys? This ends up forming reunions.
Yeah, the how I found them is a funny story too. No shame in this. I'm at work one day and I was like, man, I was like in a down. It was like one of those down periods in your life where you're like, man, I was hating my job at this time. I was like, I hate my job.
Nothing
in life is going right now.
Yeah.
Nothing in life is going right now. And I'm like, I need to start a band. I'm so desperate. And I got on Craigslist. I'm not ashamed to say this.
SF Bay Craigslist.
Got on Craigslist and I just type in like drums,
punk band.
Punk. And like one of the first things was like looking for a drummer for people who like, Reviver, Alkaline Trio, Kid Dynamite, Dear Landlord. Literally, the 5-6 bands that I love. And I was like, whoa, okay. Well,
that are on your iPod at home.
Yeah, I'd be stupid not to email these people or whatever. So I hit them up. I'm like, yo, here's some other music I've recorded. I'm down to jam. And
those guys are based out of where at the time?
Kind of all over. So Nate was in Half Moon Bay.
And they're just writing songs. Is their songs already recorded?
They sent me some songs. Yeah. Pretty soon after I hit them up and we got back to me. Anyway, pretty soon after they get back to me, I immediately am like, I cannot do this. Yeah. I cannot join a Craigslist band. This is gonna ruin my rep, dude. I'm like, no way.
So your mind starts working against you again and goes, this can't be me.
This isn't me.
I'm just a guy that finds bands on Craigslist.
I can't. No way.
You can't even find one the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Anymore. So I'm like, I just start ignoring them. They will back this up. So and they're texting me and I'm busy.
No reply.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So one night I'm at the Golden Bull here in Oakland and I don't remember which band was playing, but Kevin was here Kevin White from San Diego.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Kevin White's up here. I don't remember which band he was playing with, and I'm drunk. And I'm sitting there they're having a good time.
Talking about the good old days.
Yeah, and Kevin grabs me and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "My friend Eric over here says that he's been texting you about playing drums for him." And I'm like,
Kevin's sitting with Eric.
He's hanging, and I'm like, the guilt just hits me, and I'm like, dude. And I go to Eric, and I'm like, man, he's the nicest guy ever. And I'm like, dude, and I've just been ghosting you for the last 2 months. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been bailing on you. Like, okay, let's jam now that.
And now he has a connection to your friends in San Diego.
And
so
now
this guy is good people.
Exactly. So we get together, and and we get together. Me, Nate, Eric. I don't remember if our bass player David was there the first time or not. But we run through these songs, and I'm like, oh, dude, these songs are good. Yeah, these songs are super good, and I'm just super stoked. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, let's keep doing this.
Yeah, let's make this a thing.
Yeah.
So Reunions kicks off, and that's about 2014, 2015. You guys get to
16. Yeah, it was about a year ago.
A little over a year ago. Yeah. You guys end up playing, and you end up recording a 4th song that becomes the Reunions, the release from last year.
Yeah,
which is just a self-titled release. And you recorded that with Ryan Massey.
Yeah,
and that's at Shark Bite. How was that experience?
Dude, it was cool. Yeah, I mean,
I recorded with Ryan also. Yeah, really cool guy.
Yeah, super cool.
Beautiful studio.
Oh yeah,
right in downtown, right in Jack London Square, really. And
it's
had a great experience with him.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't yet I didn't know the legend of Shark Bite Studios or the legend of Ryan and
sure.
and American Steel. It wasn't really my thing, but I was like, oh man, this guy, okay, he's the real deal. So we got in there, yeah. I think we did it in like 3 or 4 days or something like that. Recorded 4 songs and
that was it. It was just recorded those 4 songs that are now up and available for everybody.
Yeah, just the first self-titled
you can check those
EP.
guys out, Reunions, their Bandcamp, and download that, I think, for free. And that was all recorded with Ryan Massey of American Steel. Check out Sharkbite Studios.
Dude, I just saw his new band, Sunset Shipwrecks, and they are awesome.
Oh, really? At Bottom of the Hill?
Yeah, at Bottom of the Hill with Great
cool.
Apes a few weeks ago.
Awesome, yeah. He's always into something. I really always enjoy his music quite a bit. So Reunions releases that into last year, and you guys start playing, a few shows around town.
Here and there. I mean, I think from my past experience in San Diego, I learned that like I want to be more selective with with playing shows.
I think
here.
that's a great lesson, and
Yeah,
it's hard to do
learned
that, sometimes. And a lot of times you're getting hit up by everybody and so many friends all the time that it's tough to turn folks down, but you have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
And I think that comes in all aspects of life.
Totally.
That just has to happen. Yeah. So Reunions ends up back in the studio not too long after, and you guys just ended up recording with Scott.
Yeah,
from Newtone Studios,
Scott Goodrich,
friend,
the man.
right here in town. Mm-hmm. Newtone Studios, check those guys out. And you guys just went and recorded another 6 songs. Mm-hmm. And so we should hear that soon. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, we laid down 6 songs, and then after hearing them, we were like, what do we want to do with this? You know what I mean? And I think we've come to the conclusion that we're going to do another 4-song EP. 4 of them just feel really good together. So yeah, we're
should be releasing 4 soon in the next couple months. You think?
Yeah, we'll get masters back. Probably tomorrow or something. And then we'll be putting them out pretty soon.
Well, that sounds exciting. Everyone's looking forward to hearing
stoked.
more from Reunions. You guys got a show coming up here next week for our listeners in the Bay Area. You'll be playing July 8th with Nothington and Heart Sounds.
Yeah, local
Should
legends,
be a good
dude.
party. A lot of local legends there.
Locals only, Bill.
Ben from the Heart Sounds, of course.
Yeah.
He's been running a good podcast. You guys should all check that out, the Creator Destructor podcast.
Oh, totally.
That's going to be at the Hemlock in SF. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to that show. Probably one of the bigger shows Reunions has been part of.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that is like, the best or the biggest bill that we've been on so far, which I'm, super stoked for.
Yeah, it should be an exciting time. We'll be out there. And then you guys also have a show coming up in August with the Bomb Pops out at the Knockout in San Francisco on a Friday night.
Yeah, dude, epic reunion with my old pops.
Yeah, get together with Neil, have a good time.
Oh, love
Josh
him.
And all the gang.
Yeah.
Paulie
I
and
got a
Jen.
great story about Josh and Neil too.
Really?
Yeah. So you're familiar with the Great Way Out West Fest, right?
Wow, yeah.
Okay.
Met a lot of bands there at the Way Out West
We'll
Fest.
throw it back there.
A lot of tie-ins.
Way Out West
to
Fest
everybody.
3, maybe 2.
2 or 3, okay.
From Scars plays, and we show up to the venue, and it's 30 minutes until our set time, and the doors aren't even open yet. There's no one even there. So we're like, what's going on? So anyway, the guy finally shows up. He sets us up. We play to nobody. We play to nobody.
This is Billy Brooks.
Yeah.
Sets it up.
And at the
you
end,
guys are the first band on.
we're the very first band.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, at 2:30 in the afternoon or something like that. And the guy after our set comes up and he's like, "Man, I really enjoyed your set. I apologize for putting you on first. There's quite a few other bands on the bill that we should have, in hindsight, probably
Put
scheduled
on
earlier. Yeah." He's like, "How about this? I have a set time right before the Bomb Pops later." At the other venue or something. We're like, yeah, we'll take it.
Oh, so you ended up playing 2 shows that day.
So we played 2. Yeah, we played later that evening with the Bomb Pops. We go back to our hotel with Josh and Neil, and we're having a good time.
Sure.
So we're hanging out outside the hotel room, and I'm sitting outside the hotel room. My back is against the hotel room door. The other 3 of the guys are in the parking lot, like looking at me. This is Tim and Chris from Scars, and Josh, the drummer. I think Neil was probably in bed by then. Because this is pretty late. This is pretty late.
It's even after hours for him. Huh?
Yeah. So I'm facing the parking lot, and I see this black SUV drive up slowly, and a gun comes out the passenger side window, pointed right at me. And I'm just looking at Josh, Tim, and Chris, and I'm like, "You guys."
Nobody else is seeing this.
No one else is seeing this but me.
And you're staring at a rifle of some sort, or
a pistol.
A pistol.
A pistol.
Okay.
And I'm like, "You guys, don't turn around. don't say anything, just be chill. And they're kind of like, what are you talking
Can
about?
they even
dude?
hear the car?
Maybe, maybe not.
And this is we're talking 3, 4, 5 a.m.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm looking down
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. And I'm looking down straight at a pistol. And I'm like, you guys, just something crazy's happening right now. Just stay chill. And these guys are like, what are you, dude? Are you? How high are you right now? You know? I'm like, man,
that's what everyone's asking.
So anyway, the car pulls around the corner, and I'm like, dude, you're not gonna believe this, but that black, Escalade or whatever that just pulled around the corner was like had a gun pointed at us, and they're like, what? Like that immediately, a cop pulls up and busts us.
Oh my god!
For being loud.
You don't say nothing to the cop.
Drinking and smoking or whatever.
Say,
yeah,
hey, we're done.
And he gave Josh a ticket for
Really?
Yeah.
We were fined at one of the Way Out West Fests for smoking.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because, they're harsh out there, and that was one of the Way Out West Fests. Yeah, we were all having a good time.
God, I forgot about that. That's crazy.
Ended up with a hotel bill that night. So you got some good shows coming up with reunions.
Yeah.
You're also going to be going on a tour here in a couple weeks with Western Settings.
Yeah, I'm super
where's
stoked.
That going?
It's actually kind of starts here in San Francisco, goes north to Seattle, and then cuts all the way down back to San Diego.
And that's kind of into July, right?
Yeah,
So
tail end of July.
The Western Settings Heart Sounds tour that's coming up. End of July, you can catch Shane playing the drums in place of our buddy Adam, hanging out with the gang, Will.
I love you, Adam. I'll make
crew.
you proud, bud.
I'm sure you will.
Shout out to Adam.
Yeah, I know. We're very, very excited to see you play those shows, too, and get to play with the Western Settings guys.
Yeah, man. I'm
also coming up this year, you've been helping out with This Is My Fest. I know you've been helping with a little bit of the layout and some of the design with those guys.
Yeah. I like to help out my buds when they need a little help in the old Photoshop or stuff. So
sure. And we got reunions at the festival also.
Yeah.
And that's into September, so I want to let everyone know to check out This Is My Fest.
Totally.
You got we'll be playing, Civil Russ will be playing. Reunions, and also All Weather with your buddies Tim.
Yeah, the
From
old guys
Scars will be out there.
And
Manny.
Manny and Tony, who I also used to be in another band with, Blue Ruin, which we have not talked about yet. We
definitely didn't want to finish without speaking
we
about
gotta save
Blue
time
Ruin.
for a Blue Ruin song in here, dude.
So yeah, a lot of cool bands. Any other bands you're excited to see at the festival?
I'm super stoked to see All Weather. Like, I know.
Caught them earlier this year at the La Escalera Fest.
Yeah.
And they opened the show at the record store.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Tim is like, he is a musical, like...
You have to see his performance to really enjoy it. I mean, I love the recordings that you guys did with From Scars and stuff. But when you see him and the passion he's putting into to his music and how much fun he's having.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember having the chills in the Red Brontosaurus watching him just like, holy.
I know. He's captivating.
One in the afternoon, it's just like, Jesus, this guy means what he's doing.
And so funny thing, Tony, the guitar player in All Weather, who I used to also play in a band with, is actually playing guitar for reunions at our show this coming weekend. He's coming up from San Diego. He's filling in on guitar for us. He's a good friend of mine. But yeah, I'm stoked for them. I mean, dude, copyrights at This Is My Fest.
And you got Toy Guitar.
Guitar. Oh my gosh, some
our
awesome
buddy's
bands.
Success will be out there.
Yeah.
A lot of great bands. So check that lineup, everybody. Tickets are on sale for that now. Yeah. And then what else is coming up for you? Anything else that we should know about?
Oh my goodness.
A lot of good shows.
We covered it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, I'm really stoked on these new reunion songs.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where that takes you guys. I know that heard a couple of the recordings already. Very, very good. Very excited for you guys. And Scott did a great job with it over at New Tone Studios. Coming up, you can catch Shane all over with Western Settings, and also with reunions here in San Francisco and Oakland coming up. We want to thank you for coming into the Alternative Discussion West studios.
Dude, thank you for having me.
Right on, man. It was quite a
fun.
pleasure. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoys our episode here with Shane. If you want to check him out, you can find him on Facebook, on Twitter at Stage Dive.
Yeah, the Stage Dive.
You got to catch him on Twitter. And, of course, you can find reunions on Bandcamp. Download them. Download Eskera. Download From Scars.
It's all up there, man.
Right on. Yeah. We will catch you guys next time. This is Ryan and Shane signing off. Thank you, guys.
a mess of flailing limbs. And on nights like this, the bright lights hit just like fists, and I'm all